Welcome to your favorite show, The Discussion. I'm your host, Chelsea Okonji. Thank you for joining us on the GBKM network. If you haven't yet, please download our app. Just search GBKM on iOS or Android, where you can download the app. You can also watch us live on www.gbkm.tv, or you can follow us on our socials, on Facebook, on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and be a part of the discussion. You know how we do. Share, share, share. Follow us, put on your notifications, and on the app you can also check to see when we have live shows just like this one, or you can catch up on the past shows that we've had before. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'd just like to welcome you guys again to your favorite show, The Discussion. It's been a minute since we last spoke face to face, and I have an exciting guest here today. I don't know if you guys already guessed it or you already saw the flyer, but this person, he's actually a lot. He's an investor. He's a business executive. He's also the founder of the Beam Group Entertainment Group. And he's the very definition of an entrepreneur. Please join me in welcoming Mayowa Balogun to the studio.
Whoa, thank
Welcome.
you so much.
So how are you?
I'm not bad, just working hard, trying to get like Chelsea.
Welcome to the show, basically. So for
Thank
those
you
who
so much
don't
for
know
having me.
you, for like our viewers who are just seeing you for the first time, you
All
do
right.
wear a lot of hats. You do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Explain yourself. Give us an understanding of who Mayowa Balogun is as a person.
My name is Mayowa Balogun. I'm 28 years old. I'm not 28. I'm going to be 28 in August, so like 3 weeks from now.
Oh,
So my birthday is coming up.
that's good.
And I do a lot of things. I am an entertainment executive, so I have a company, and my company has many interests, right? So I
And what is
do
your company's name?
Beam Group. Beam Group is my company, and we have
Okay.
interest in entertainment, from things like talent management to tours, consulting, and then my group has subsidiaries of companies, right? So we have the entertainment company, we have the financial services company, and we have the real estate development and investing company as well.
Wow.
And I have a lot of hobbies, so I do a lot of things. We do some sports consulting as well. I write part time on the side. I contribute to a lot of what do you call it? Media, blogs and things like that. I do a lot of writing, opinion piece.
You're literally like a one-man powerhouse, media house, basically. Because from what you said, I don't think there's anything you don't do. That gets us straight into our first question. So what came
Right, of
first,
course.
to be honest, like in terms of, your pursuit for media and everything that you do, which one of your hobbies or your pursuits came first?
First, it's funny you say that because I just got back to writing, like doing some writing, like slightly journalism
Yeah.
for sports. And when I first started, so I've always been entrepreneurial. I'll be honest with you. I've always had an inkling to do entrepreneurial pursuits. When I was in secondary school, I used to sell. I used to help people wash their clothes, so they would pay me. In high school, like we didn't used to have, we couldn't spend money, so we used to do trade by barter. So I would wash people's clothes for them.
You
They would
wash
pay me.
people's clothes and then they'll pay
They would
you.
pay me in bread. They would pay me in like meat or talk shop, snacks. So I've always had that kind of thing. And when I moved to America the first year
Yeah.
to go to university, that's like in 2010, I think.
Okay.
I opened my first blog. This is at the time blogging was becoming the hot cool thing in Nigeria. So essentially
Yeah.
think about today and think about Instagram influencing, what it is
Wow.
today, or social media influencing. At the time it was blogs that was the hot thing to do. So I started my
Yeah.
blog at the time as well. And I used to have all the, it's funny, I used to try to be the first person to break all the popular
All the
news.
news.
Like if Chris Brown did one thing, I'll stay up all night, open my thing and put it on my blog. And then from there I started writing about music as well.
Okay.
And at the same time on the side as well, I was at the time Blackberries were the popular phone, right? Blackberry, remember Blackberry? I used to unlock Blackberries for people.
Oh, so you were like a tech guy as well.
Me, that year I used to fix people's screen.
How, by yourself, or you
Yeah.
outsource
I have. It's funny. I have somewhere. If I look in my house, I have all the tools somewhere. Like I used to change people's screen for them. I used to buy like broken phones and fix them up and resell them. I did a lot of those little hustling here and there. I used to resell shoes on eBay. I've hustled many different. I used to do a lot of reselling on eBay. I used to buy things, fix them up, sell them on eBay, or buy like a cheap. I'll go to some Chinese people, buy one cheap Beats by Dre, sell it on eBay for more expensive price. I had all those things in my body, and then I was also blogging, like I said, and then eventually at the time. Not Just Talking.com was the biggest blog for music in Nigeria. It was very big, very massive blog. Like, all the artists wanted to get on there and stuff like that. And then I reached out to them on Twitter. I followed the owner and followed like the, I guess, editor in chief.
So you went after them, like you went after what you wanted
on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I followed them on Twitter. After many months of farms in them, they followed me back. We kind of became Twitter cool, right? And then one day I just after like a year of blogging, I DM'd them one day. I think 2011. I said, hey, listen. If you ever need an extra hand on to blog for your blog, like to write articles or whatever, like I'm pretty talented and I can do it. I have my own blog, and I send them a link to my blog. I said, this is my blog. You guys, check my stuff out. And if you ever need any extra person to work for you, I'm available. And they didn't get back to me for like a year. It's funny enough. Wow. I just DM'd the guy randomly, right? He never got back to me until like 2012 January. So he just messaged me one day in 2012. He's like, oh, are you still open to take the opportunity? I'm like, yeah.
And you just took it.
Yeah, I took
so
it.
You were already here. You were already abroad when you were writing for them, right?
So my whole career in anything I started when I was here, because I moved to America when I was 16, right? So I was a blogger, but I was already here, right? And then they gave me the opportunity, and that kind of changed my trajectory because, again, like I said, at the time the blog was pretty very big, and having the opportunity to be a blogger at the time. Was a big thing because that's when my Twitter followers increased. A lot of people started DMing me, farming me.
So that gave you the most exposure, basically.
Right, I got a lot of exposure. A lot of the people that are in the industry now that are popular, even the managers, the artists that are blown now. At the time, they were trying to come up and they used to always message me their music. It's funny. I saw on my emails from Kiss Daniel's former manager for Woju. I was going through my DMs with her recently. She's a lawyer now. Her name is Foza, right? And she had DM'd me Kiss Daniel's Woju to post on Not Just Okay. It's like in 2012 or I can't remember 2013 or something. So that's how. So we're pretty influential, and that kind of gave me the leverage to kind of grow my status as a music entertainment guy or whatever. And then from there, I moved to a different city. I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I started working with a guy called Big Entertainment, which is one of the biggest promoters in Dallas. And he used to do a lot of tours. So he brings, even till now, he brings all the artists, Whiskey, Davido, Yaya, Burna Boy. I started working with him, started doing tours with him. I was a big part of his team. He had an award show at the time called Afrima. I was one of the people on the board of Afrima as well. And then I started managing artists as well too. Then in 2016, I met Donley, which was the biggest artist that I don't work with anymore now, but at the time she was my biggest artist. So I kind of progressed from being a blogger to being a promoter. Then to being like a music manager, but at the same time I was also hustling because at the end of the day in the music industry as well, it's very capital intensive business. So you have another also that you're hustling somewhere that's keeping you. So I've always had affinity for different things, real estate. I've read a lot of books. Me, I like money, so I've always had an interest in all these other things that I can do to put my money somewhere else. So I've always done something, and but I think a lot of what I've done that I have recognition for is in the music industry.
In the music industry, we're just going to get right into that because that was literally the next question I had to ask you. You mentioned that you were brought on this tour and then you were exposed to different artists. That's the way you started out in the business. Now, for you, most people that are in the music industry are usually like rappers, singers, or like they actually put themselves out there and use the talent. We don't see a lot of people that are chasing like behind the scenes, that want to like grow and be a producer or an executive or anything like that. What is your mindset going in as, okay, you know what, I want to break this stereotype and I want to break into this particular part of the music industry?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think all of us as people, when we are young, everybody wants to be a star, right? Yes. That's the thing that everybody sees. You see athletes, you see people that are playing football, that are rapping, and that's what you want to be.
Yeah.
But I think I realized young in my life, and I'm very self-aware that I wasn't one. I grew up very shy, right?
That's hard to believe.
Right. It's funny, right? But even when I have some tendencies that I kind of, I'm reserved. But I grew up pretty shy, and I had some decent talent to sing. Actually, I was in my choir in high school. Like I used to go on like I used to go do competitions, so, but I was in the choir. I wasn't like
Okay.
the soloist. I was in the choir singing tenor, right?
Okay.
But I realized when I quickly, and this is why I actually went to blogging, because when I started, at the time when I started blogging, music was exploding. That's when we started getting artists like Whiskey and Davido that were young artists, 16, 17, 18, 19,
Right.
going into music, right?
Right.
So all of us I had a lot of friends that were also doing music at the same time as well, that were
Yeah.
producing. And I'm not a creative person. I don't see myself as a creative person. I can't write music. I didn't want to learn how to produce. I obviously was too shy, and I don't like fame that much, contrary to what people might think. I like to be kind of reserved.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? I want to be in this industry, but I don't want to be the person that is singing or rapping or producing. So my first instinct was to go to blogging, actually, right?
Okay.
And then over time, I realized, and I said this in other interviews I've done, like, when in the past, I've explained to people that when I look back on my life, I was always concerned. I have, I'm financially savvy and I'm
Okay.
business savvy, right?
Okay.
And I've always had a concern for, like when I was young, for example, and you watch like documentaries of Mike Tyson or Michael Jackson, and they were so influential. The music was so great. Mike Tyson was such a great boxer.
Boxer.
He made so much money, but he became bankrupt.
Yeah.
Right? He used to mess with me. I'm like, why would somebody work so hard in a career, make so much money? All their managers are going to be rich. Like all their promoters are rich, but then they're broke.
Yeah.
Right? So I always had the thing where I felt like I wanted to be a defender of like creative people. Right. So when I look back now, that was one of my biggest motivations. Like when I started managing, I was like, man, I want to be the person that protects the interest of these creative people that give so much to us in terms of music. They give us so much joy. Like I watch a lot of sports and I get so happy or angry depending on the result.
So
But
would you say that is how you describe your role in the music industry right now?
yes,
Like
yes,
sort of
yes.
like an avenger for musicians.
Essentially, that's what it is, right?
That's what
And
it
it's not
is.
just now that I'm going into sports as well. The same thing I'm doing with sports. A lot of these
Exactly.
football players, they get cheated. They don't understand how money works. They don't understand their contracts. People just leech off of them and make a lot of money off of them. And for me, it's a big thing for me to. And my first goal was to understand the business. I
Exactly.
actually went to school for a music. I got a music business degree in Toronto in
Okay.
2019 because I wanted to understand the business a lot more, so I can be able to help and to represent those artists the right way and not open them up to exploitation from other people.
Okay.
Right. So that's my big motivation that I've had from a young age. Even when I didn't know I wanted to be a manager, I always knew that I just felt very strongly about people getting cheated
Yeah.
in the industry, and that's kind of what motivated me to switch into what I'm doing now.
That's awesome. So you also manage quite a number of artists, and you have a lot of artists that are affiliated with you in
Yes.
terms of things that you have done. One of which is an artist that I really love, Lady Donley, and you keep promoting her work, and you have Lasgidi, Olu, many more. How do you
Right.
go through the creative process of managing them and
Okay,
putting
so
them out there?
I just want to say for now, I don't manage the Lidoli anymore, and I'm sure we're going to get to why that happened. And when we get there, we get there. So I don't manage her anymore. I work with everybody else. I don't work with her anymore,
Okay.
and that's what that is. And I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So
Sorry.
I was just saying, well, how do you manage the people that you manage? How does it work out? Is
How does
there
it
any
work?
conflict of
Um,
interest? How do you do how does the process go?
it's funny that you asked that question too, because I was joking with somebody recently, and I said I was working remotely before COVID, right?
Okay.
Because it only was for the most part based in Nigeria and the UK.
Yeah.
Lasgidi right now is based in the US, Olu is in
Yes.
Nigeria, and I've been living in Canada and slash the US for
Exactly.
the last maybe decade, right? I go to Nigeria a lot. I go to Nigeria maybe 2-3 months every year.
Okay.
But I have a team that I have people that I hired, I have interns and things like that.
Okay.
And essentially, like, we created a decent system where the work can be done and we
Okay.
can oversee from here. Like I do a lot of, I'm up very early in the morning. I'm talking to people in Nigeria on WhatsApp. I'm
Yeah.
calling people. The biggest thing about management is honestly is the knowledge and the connection that you have and the networks that you
Yeah.
have, right? And those can be leveraged regardless of where you are. Now,
Okay.
truthfully, it's better for you if you are mobile, which
Yes.
artists constantly and being around them, even just to be able to guide them a little bit better.
Right.
It's hard to do it remotely, but it's doable. And if you have a team in place of people that that work and that can implement your vision, it's doable. And if you think about even the biggest managers, which we aspire to become, like the biggest executives,
Yeah.
they might be in LA or they might be doing
Yeah.
other interests, and they have systems that they've created that
Systems
help
that they
them
have created.
to do a
Right.
better job of representing their artists even when they're not physically there. And that's kind of what I've always kind of worked on. And it's difficult, but it's doable. It's not it's not miserable. And we did it now. We did it for a long time. Even with Donnie, and we're still doing it now with the other artists. And we find a way to make it work. We just have to, put a lot more time into like making sure the vision is carried the right way.
Yeah, it's actually pretty amazing that you're doing this, especially, being in a different place and area from the people that you're managing, and a lot more that you're doing in addition to just the music. We're going to have to take a short break right now, but when we come back, we're going to be discussing more about, most of your other ventures and more things to come. Stay tuned.
Are you craving some home-cooked African meals but are missing the authentic ingredients? No worries. Head over to Dunami's Food online groceries at www.mydunamisfood.com to check out our collection of the best quality African and Caribbean foods. From swallows to spices to meats and produce, expect top quality customer service and have your groceries delivered to your door when you shop at Dunami's Food. Don't forget, go to www.mydunamisfood.com and get a taste of home. It'll be like you never left. Dunami's Food, keeping you smiling always. Nous vous gardons toujours le sourire.
Welcome back to your favorite show, The Discussion. If you're just joining us, I have a guest with me. His name is Maiwa Balogun. He has been giving us some gems about being an entrepreneur and managing in the music industry. Welcome back, Maiwa, and thank you for joining us again. Getting right back into it, before the break, we mentioned that you weren't managing Lady Donley anymore.
Yes.
I want to get into the why of that situation. There was an alleged incident that happened last year where you were caught in, you were allegedly being accused of sharing a video of an intimate moment with you and a woman without her consent. I'd like to ask you, what have you learned from that situation?
So first of all, I was the one who put out the information, right? Because I felt like, for me, I was getting to the point where I was getting very anxious all the time that this information is going to come out eventually, and I felt like I just didn't want to deal with the trap of having something like that on my chest anymore. So I put it out myself, right? And but I will say this, and I will learn every day. It happened how it happened. I regret it that it happened, but it happened, right? And I can't take it back. I have done my best to reconcile the situation. It happened a while ago. It happened in 2018, right? Me and the person that was involved, we, in my estimation of the situation, I think we reconciled it. But I can't speak for somebody who's a victim of a situation like that, right? The person has they feel how they feel about it.
Right.
And all I can do is try to reconcile the best way I can, and I try to do that. And I try to also out myself as well. I don't know if it was a good idea or a bad idea. It seems like it was a bad idea that I put it on myself. But it was what it was. Like, it happened, and as soon as that happened, like, my whole life was changed. Like, even in the music industry, a lot of people I can't talk to anymore. A lot of my close friends I can't speak to anymore.
Right.
But it is what it is. Like, I learned from the situation already, and I feel like I learned even before it came out publicly, because it happened maybe 2 years before it came out publicly. I learned, I got better. I made peace with the situation, and a lot of my closest friends, I explained to them, this is what happened. This is how. But I had to defend myself in front of a lot of people that respect me, right?
Right.
And I feel like I did that. The public perception is still going to be there. People are going to feel how they feel about the situation. And it's always going to be a blemish on my life. Like, it happened. I made a big mistake. It happened. If you look up my name, it's probably going to come up there somewhere. That's just what it is. Like, I have to be able to deal with the fact that I made poor judgment at some point in my life, and it's part of my history now. So I can only be better and try to be better.
Well, the most important thing you said, I am sorry to cut you short. The most important thing you said is that you acknowledged that it was, a part of your life, that you made a mistake, you made peace with it, and you've learned from the situation, right?
Right.
And now you're just trying to build back up and get back into everything else that you're going to do.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Now, something we haven't touched on that you also are big on, besides music, is construction. You
Real
know,
estate in general.
real
Yeah.
estate in general, to be
Yes.
honest. So tell us a little bit about that. How did that even start? How did the interest for real estate start?
So, like I said, for me, how do I get into this? In my opinion of life, I feel like there are things that everybody should have some knowledge about,
Okay.
right? If you think about maybe you when you were younger, your dad bought land, right, and he kept it. Like those are things that, yeah. And it's like as well, if you make a lot of money, you save. Like you should save your money instead of spend or save some, invest it in something,
Okay.
buy stock like that. There are things that I feel like everybody, especially as Black people, because we've been so disenfranchised for so long,
Right.
we need to be very aware of growing wealth, right? And so I've always had interest since I was young. I read a lot of books in just like what is the best way to grow wealth,
Right.
right? And there are many ways you can grow your wealth. You can invest in stock markets, you can invest in companies, you can develop your own company,
Yeah.
you can invest in real estate, right? And for me, I always tell my friends like, if you have some privilege, so you work, you earn decent money, and you have disposable income, the first thing you should be looking to do is buy a property, right?
Okay.
So that's my instinct. And I always give the example of people like I moved to Canada in 2016. So I always had the knowledge of buying properties. I couldn't buy in America because in America, if you're not the resident of the country, it's hard to purchase property,
Right.
right? When I moved to Canada, I have my green card and my PR card here. So I knew automatically when I came here that my first goal was to buy my house within the first 2 years of being in Canada.
Being here.
Right.
Right.
I managed to do it like that. I managed to get it done like that. And I explain to people, I have a lot of friends who want to buy a car, or want to buy, go on vacation, which is fine, right? But for me, you can do the same things, but the first thing you need to do is invest in assets, right? So I give people an example of my first property that I bought. Some money I used to put my down payment for my house the first time. I could have bought my car cash with it, but I bought the house instead. The tenants pay me rent. The rent that they pay me, I used to pay off my mortgage on the house. I pay off the insurance on the house. I pay off the taxes on the house.
Okay.
And then the balance of the money from the rent, I pay off my car. I got the car instead of paying cash for the car, I bought the car from this thing I got a loan to buy the car, right? And I pay off the car loan from my house rent. That's it, right? So me and you have the same car, but you bought your car cash, and me I bought my car, and I'm paying it from I'm not even paying my car. My tenants are paying my car with their rent that they're paying me.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So if my tenants live in my house for the next 5 years, they will have paid off my whole car by paying me rent every month. And for me, that's the smart way to go about it. And then going into the construction part of the real estate. So I started up obviously buying property, right? Buying and renting and getting tenants that pay me rent.
Yeah.
Right. Over the last 2 years, with the pandemic that happened and with the way property values are going up very quickly. So properties are getting more expensive
Yeah.
to buy. Right. I said, listen, man, the margins were not high enough for me. Because if you think about, I'll give you an example. If you bought a house, $100,000 or $100,000 3 years ago, that same house now is now worth $200,000, right? It has gone up double the price.
Right.
But your rent is not going to go up double. I can't charge my tenant double the rent I was charging them 2 years ago.
No.
The max I can increase is maybe 3% a year. So if I was collecting $1,000 in rent on $100,000 property that I bought, maybe I'll collect 1-2 this year. That means that my margins are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's not more expensive to invest in properties. I'm getting less money as income, right?
Right.
So for me, I said, man, what can I do that I'll still be in the industry, but I'll get better returns.
Better
And,
returns.
and what came up to my
Maximize
mind
your
was
own
construction,
profit.
right? Because in construction, when you develop properties, you invest a lot more money to develop, but you make more money as profit,
Yeah.
right? Because they don't want
But
to
it's
develop
more time consuming and capital intensive, and there are a lot of red tape.
It is. Oh
I
man,
imagine that you have to go
Oh,
through before
too
you get
much.
approved for that. But you it seems like you scaled through, all of that so far, and then you're doing it now. So are you looking to invest to construct in just the Windsor area, or are you looking to expand beyond that?
My short and middle term goals are in Windsor, and Windsor is a specific market for me because, and I've always it's same thing. This is the same reason why I live in Windsor. Everybody asks me why did I live in Toronto. I knew Windsor was going to be like this. I identified Windsor as a long time. This is why I bought my first house here as well.
Okay.
Windsor is cheaper than most markets in Canada,
Yeah.
right? And the only place Windsor can go is up
Right.
because it's so cheap. So what has happened in the last year with the pandemic is that people are going to move from Toronto, too expensive, Waterloo too expensive, they're going to move to Windsor. And when you sell your house in Toronto for $1 million, for example, and you come to Windsor and you see a house $300,000, it's cheap to you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the idea. So I always knew that Windsor had a bigger what's the word? A bigger opportunity to grow. Right. And that's what we are seeing now. So people like us, we pitched our tent early.
A bigger return on investments as well.
Right. So for me, and Windsor is still, there's a lot of good that can happen in Windsor. And the same thing I said, even when I was doing my events here, and hopefully the pandemic will shut down. I mean, everything will get better and we'll go back to doing events. Windsor is a good market, I think. It's hard to see now because it's not a popping market today. But I feel like with time and effort, it's going to get better and better. And then.
So you're basically thinking ahead.
Those things will get better, essentially.
The things
yes.
you're laying now a foundation for what's yet to come. You're projecting for a better future. And I honestly hope that works out as well. I'm of the opinion that Windsor can only get better as well.
It can only get better. Like, we can't keep going down.
Yeah.
Windsor is the bottom right now. You know, you have to go up. Up is the only way. So that's what it is.
To be honest. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about your love for sports. You have recently been very vocal about MMA and very enthusiastic about it. First of all, do you even have a favorite fighter?
I do.
Who?
It's all the Nigerians. So
all
the first
the
one
Nigerians.
is the first guy who brought me into the sport. His name is Kamaru Usman. He's the champion right now at the welterweight division, which is 170 pounds. There's also another guy, Israel Adesanya. I'm using the accent now to spell his name, to say his name. Israel Adesanya is the champion as well. So we have 3 African champions. So I like all the Africans, by the way, not just the Nigerians.
Yeah.
We have 3 champions in the UFC right now. Francis Ngannou, heavyweight champion. We have Israel Adesanya, the middleweight champion, and we have Kamaru Usman, the welterweight champion of the world. And we have some other Nigerians, Kennedy Nzechukwu. We have Sadiq Yusuf. We have a Nigerian-Canadian guy, Hakim Dawodu. All these guys, you know, they're doing great things. And I think what they've done for us in Nigeria is that they've made us. Nigeria is a big country. Africa is a big continent for soccer, football.
Right. Exactly. The main focus
football,
has been on soccer and football for some time.
It's been on football for so long. Basketball as well is pretty big in East Africa as well.
It's now coming up. Basketball is now coming up.
It's coming up. Boxing is kind of big in Africa as well.
Yeah.
But MMA, for me, I think that, again, I'm very big on, you've probably noticed the theme already. I'm very big on like the future, what the future is going to look like.
Yes.
Right. We've had football for so long. Everybody's chasing football.
Yeah.
We've seen the recent impact of the Nigerians, and these Nigerians, there's only maybe 20 Africans in the UFC. The UFC has like 600 fighters.
Yeah.
Right. Out of 20 Africans in a league with 600 people, we have 3 of the 8 champions. 3, right? So that tells you that there's talent in the country, right? If you start to focus on developing that young talent at this stage, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, those guys can get to the same positions that the legends, that the current athletes are in now, right? Mm-hmm. So just by the virtue of the numbers that we're talking about, you know, if you can take time and invest money, and if you watch MMA, if you look at the stories of MMA, a lot of the fighters they become fighters because of how they grow up. Maybe they're poor, you know, they're going to get into trouble, and their parents say, "Hey, I'll throw you in the gym so that you can go and train instead of using your energy for negative things." Right. So if you can, and so for me, having athletes in Nigeria, Africa is it's a productive way to get them out of trouble, but also give them a career path all you need is effort and hard work. Right? They don't need to go to college if they don't want to go to college. They don't need to spend money to go to school. If they just work hard and train. That energy that they're using to do negative, they put it to positive things like training, physical training. They can have a career.
Is that what inspired you to start training as well?
So I just wanted to get fit. I was a little bit unhealthy, and honestly, it was a fun way for me to train. Like, it's more fun for me to do boxing than to lift weights, or, you know, like the boxing is more interesting. It's a more interesting way to get your workouts.
Really?
For me, okay. It was more interesting. And even for you, I think if you try it, you have more fun doing
boxing,
it. Like,
I don't know about boxing, but maybe.
No, seriously, you should try it. Like, it's a fun way. Like, for me, like, I've tried to go to the gym before, and I'll lift weights. It's so boring, like, and it's difficult, and you feel the pain. But when you're boxing, at least you're having fun. You know, you're staying active. It's like people who dance and do workout, like who dance, exercise. Like, dancing is fun. boxing is also fun, right? So
That's true.
kickboxing or whatever. So for me, it's easier for me to be more motivated to go box than
Yeah.
to go to the gym and lift weights or
Do you ever think
do.
you're going to train to a point where you want to fight
Oh no,
professionally
I'm
or
not.
anything?
I'm
This is
not
just
that
for your
good.
personal,
I'm
just for
not.
you
It's
to
just for
be fit.
personal. It's just for personal. People always tease me about it. I'm like, I'm not that good. I'm not that talented. I don't want to. I'm already old. I'm already too old to turn professional now. I just want to train and just be and have the talent and have the skills. And it's good as well for self defense. Like it gets
Yeah,
you confident because now I
that's
know that
true.
if I go out somewhere and somebody wants to try me, I say I'm
You
a
just
boxer.
you can change it for the
No, I can give you one punch now and knock you out. So
okay.
it's fun for confidence to have that
That's
skill in your
good.
back pocket as well.
And last but not the least, you're very big on pushing community and just growing the African culture and supporting, especially here in the diaspora. What advice would you give to people that are coming in and that aren't, as community oriented as you are?
Advice, I don't know what the advice would be. I think I, I just wish that we could just stick together, man. Because
Yeah,
like I study a lot of other like races. Like I have a lot of friends that are Arab, right, or Asian, Indian, and they have a very strong sense of community.
you do.
And you can see what that does for them in Canada, for example. Canada is a very specific. It's a place where if you see what the Indians have done here,
Yeah.
in terms of ownership, owning businesses, owning gas stations, owning all the Tim Hortons. In Windsor, most of the Tim Hortons are owned by Indian people, right? And those are the things where, and I always told my friends in the University of Windsor as well, like, imagine if you came from Nigeria today and there's a community that will tell you, listen, if you're an engineer, instead of taking this teacher, take this one. This one
Take
is
this
easier for you to
one.
get your grading. Instead of taking this teacher that is difficult, take this teacher. Instead of living in this house that this landlord is racist, live in this type of house instead. Just that will put people through and guide them to be able to be better. That's what the
Yeah.
community does for you, and that's what other communities do for their people, right? When people move to Windsor that are Arabic, the
Yeah.
mosque will take them in, put them through, do this, buy a house here, go to this banker,
Yeah.
makes their life easy. It
That's
makes the
true.
transition from a new country to Canada easy.
Easy.
And we need to have the same kind of things, the same kind of community structures for Nigerians or Africans that are coming here
Right.
to make their life easy so that they can get their foot here and also become successful. And
Right.
we have that line of successful people out of Nigeria. And before you know it, we become a dominant subculture in this community as well. And then it's when I look at things like oppression and racism, for me, the root of it is economic roots. If black people were more economically buoyant, if we had more money, if we were richer,
Yeah.
right, the racism will not be as painful as it is for us because we know that what makes racism difficult is that not only are they looking down on us, we're also poor. Do you understand?
That's the thing.
But when you're rich, it's different.
It's
Racism is different when
different.
you're rich. It's like, bro, come on, man. You that you're
Well,
talking to me,
thank you so much for coming on the show,
for
Maiwa. That was
sure, for
amazing.
sure.
Thank you for, saying this to our viewers and letting us know more about you and what you're doing. You can find Maiwa on every social media outlet. You can find him on Instagram and you can find him on Twitter as well. Where else can we find you?
I have a website, mayawabalogun.me.
There you go. So reach out to him
Hello.
for any entertainment or, real estate related questions or any just mentorship questions in general. If you want to speak to somebody that is young and active and doing this thing, I would like to say thank you to our viewers for joining the discussion today. Remember, every topic starts with a discussion. I'm going to see you again next week, same time, same place. Thank you for joining the discussion. I'm your host, Chelsea Okonji.